Hello, YouTube. Hope you're all right. Keep going. Keep buggering on. There goes my light. We began the week with a worried Brian confiding in Adam that his wife has taken to wandering around the village with a desk lamp on her head. Well, that's what happens when a woman of Jennifer's brain ends up only having to worry about venison casserole, Brian. Robert continues to cock up in his efforts to help Lindy Bottom. He waded into her issues with her physiotherapist. Silvano is apparently very intense and too demanding, and generally sounds as though he's training her for Strictly rather than doing Linda things like feeding llamas, condescending to the general public, pretending to sleep outside pubs and being reluctantly persuaded to direct plays that nobody wants to see. Robert wants her to have Lee instead, and I'm not sure in her present mood karate would be advisable unless you want to go home with your knackers in your hand, Robert. However, Lindy Bottom basically told Robert to sod right off and not come back. Then in the next scene he bobbed up next to her bed to be presented with a porcelain tiger and a horrible birthday card. So clearly we missed the rapprochement, as Linda would have said in happier times. Over at Home Farm, all the sheep have got athlete's foot. They need to dry between their hooves better, that's all. I could be a vet. It's easy. If the sheep have got a contagious disease, Jenny clearly now has too, as she's complaining about being dumped with little Xander, and she's now started saying, "Oh, Brian, when do I have the time?" Brian described Xander as a super little chap and clearly cannot wait to get the hell away from him, as he's volunteering to drill the barley, rub athlete's foot cream onto all the hooves, and weed the herbal lays with chopsticks. Gay Grables is set to reopen. I really don't understand how that business works, but hey-ho. They've already got the most discontented customer base since Lower Loxley's Halloween psychodrama traumatised an entire population of local infants. And now they're expecting visitors to come to the hotel and be served food cooked by Hugh in a burger van on the bypass, eaten to the accompaniment of ceaseless hammering and the exciting possibility of another gas explosion. However, Roy and Oliver and Kathy are having a meeting before work every morning, which Roy seems to think will solve everything. You're going to need more than a meeting, sunshine. Anyway, it's good for the staff, as after the explosion they were left isolated, struggling to work from home, with the business losing loads of money. Thank goodness that situation's not going to happen again anytime soon. But Oliver is sanguine. Roy, he says, is an absolute engine. Yes, traction. The three rewilding stooges met up for a play date at Phoebe's. They went and knocked for her and asked if she could play. Roy let them in, made them take their shoes off, gave them a glass of milk and a hobnob. Then he talked to them a bit, and then Phoebe came in and said, "Shall we sit down?" Who has a drink and a chat standing up in someone's sitting room? Anyway, Phoebe has not only swallowed the Kool-Aid, she has bathed in it. She's a week away from suggesting a nuclear power station, at my reckoning. In order to make her position as the Green Goblin to Justin's Thanos slightly more palatable for the other two Wallies, she is pretending that the block of flats with shopping mall that Justin wants them to build should only be for people like us. Eco-positive? No, gullible morons. Proving that Lindy Bottom is still in charge of the village even when she's bedridden 15 miles away, Roy did her bidding and trotted off to see Blake to forgive him. His bedside manner needs work, as he seemed to burst belligerently into poor Blake's room and start shouting. Understandably, poor Blake nearly pissed himself. And to be fair, if Roy appeared unexpectedly at the end of my bed, I'd freak out as well. As Roy walked back to the car park, wondering what the hell he'd done with his car this time, a dim light flickered. It was just momentary. But it must be going, it must be the streetlight going, thought Roy. Then it did it again. It was inside his head. That man was frightened, thought Roy. I think something needs to be done about the man I went to see, because he wasn't a happy man and he was frightened and I do not know why, so I must tell a grown-up, thought Roy. So he told Philip, and an entire nation shouted, "Roy!" Samuel was packed in the shearing, apparently. What with Eli and Samuel, Ambridge is clearly stuffed full of silent sheep specialists. Anyway, Ed wants to try the shearing again with Jazza, though last year's was a disaster when Ed got distracted by Tim O'Tay waving a carton full of hooky Tomorite at him. This year, he'll have to coax Jazza out of his den in the fish tank. Those two make Phoebe Tucker look like Alan Sugar. It was Kira's 9th birthday. Tracy, ever classy, had bought a unicorn piñata and made a frankly terrifying-sounding unicorn cake with a pink glittery head. But to be honest, all 9-year-olds have no taste at all, and quite right too, so well done, Tracy. She had an already exciting week teaching Freddie how to be on reception. At one point she said to him, "If it gets weird at any point, we'll stop. You're in reception in a bombed-out hotel. How could it get any weirder, Tracy?" She is keeping everyone going at Grey Gables, especially Oliver. "I wish I had your zest, Tracy," he said. "It's my body spray, Oliver. Do you want a squirt?" She then told him to fake it till you make it, which is presumably what she does with Roman. The only thing worse than helping Shula paint eggs for Easter is having lunch with Helen Archer, and poor Krusty managed to double book herself to do both. She's sounding more vicarish by the minute, but sooner or later the facade will crack and she'll start being wildly judgmental again. Soon as the virus hits, she'll be one of those gits who covertly film their neighbours walk into the post box and report them to the police, the FBI and the Inland Revenue. And finally, in this strange new world in which we now live, we all understand what it is to stare death in the face and reassess our priorities. Emma narrowly avoided being fatally grilled, and this made her rethink what she wants out of life and her values. She asked Ed to go for a walk, and as they wandered through the trees, shyly exchanging glances, she faced the truth about herself. Ed, when I nearly died, I realised what was important to me. That marble coffee table. Bring it back. The end. I hope you're all okay. I hope you're all coping. I am wearing, today I will mostly be wearing, they are Empire State Building earrings in tribute to our dear friends New York Nigel and Witherspoon in New York. What's going on there just sounds unbelievable and awful. All of it's unbelievable, obviously, but just so terrible and so traumatic and so hellish for everybody involved, even if you're lucky enough not to know anybody directly medically affected, but just the environment and what people are seeing and everything else. So, it's not great here, but all the Dumpty Dummers are sending their love to our fellow listeners in America, and lots of love, and stay well and look after each other. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed watching Lucy V. Freeman give you loads of gossip about Ambridge, and I don't know why you would, I'm not a fan of gossip myself, then you can subscribe to this channel by clicking the button. That means you won't miss any more updates on what's going on. And you can also listen to Lucy Roifield and other The Archers listeners on Dumpty Dum, the weekly podcast. Don't tell anyone I said anything though, will you?